And three, two, one, boom. And we were back with another episode of Scrap Gamers. This episode sponsored by, surprise, surprise, Zen Real Clothing Code. Just pick up your tees and hoodies and other apparel at zenrealclothingco.com. Use offer code SGPodcast for 20% off select items. Okay, this is Socratic Dialogue. This week we're talking about peering behind the veil. So, I don't know if you actually know, but the whole idea behind Zen Real is that you keep things as real as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like from the perspective of like I was told this once where it's like, oh, you're very Zen Real, and I was like, oh, what does that mean? And it's like you look at the honest truth behind something, even if it's cold.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I like the whole name Zen Real, but it has a lot to do with peering behind the veil. So there's like a lot of things in society that we like look at from like a first glance perspective, and we're like, oh, this looks really awesome. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then like when you look behind the veil, you see like the Wizard of Oz pulling the strings. You know, you're like, oh, this is actually how it works, and it's like not how we thought it worked. It's marketed to be like favorable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I saw, what was that movie? The one with the broadcasters.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the name? Damn, I'm lost.
Oh, Bombshell?
Oh, Bombshell. Thank you.
Even I didn't see that.
Yeah, you didn't, but I can't remember the title name. So Bombshell was basically about Fox News and how like a lot of anchors and stuff. There's like a lot of sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you were saying something about Fox News, like how they chose their, like if they put on mute.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like to see, it's still entertaining to watch when, like they all have to have skirts or something like that.
Yeah, they brought that up in the movie, but they didn't do that thing you said where like they put mute.
If it's on mute and it still grabs your attention.
Right.
Like,
that's
the thing. Basically, they have to look good on screen.
Yeah, that's he was saying a lot of that. There was like a lot of evidence of that in the movie, and like so a lot of the anchors, they're made to wear like dresses or skirts, sorry, and like wear makeup and like look really pretty, you know, to be on TV.
Yeah.
And like it like follows the story of this one anchor person who, well, three technically, and like one of them actually like went through the trials of like the sexual misconduct.
Mm-hmm.
And the other two, they both said no to him, but like yeah. So basically in order to get ahead, like his tagline was like, in order to get ahead you have to give a little head. Right. And like, so like this one girl, she admitted to doing it, etc., and it's like that is actually a lot of how, even though it's a movie, that's a lot of how, you know, the media actually works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't know the favors that go behind the scenes, or like,
it's like when you have that much power, right? It's difficult. Like, it's that line, right? The power corrupts or something. It's like,
power corrupts.
Absolute power
corrupts absolutely. Something like that.
So it's like when they have too much power and they're in such high positions that they can control people's.
See, that's what I was wondering about. So like,
I don't know if everyone does that, but like,
no, totally. Yeah. But I'm wondering, like, is this a genetic thing? Because like back then, like you'd have like emperors doing similar things.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like only now in this age of like morality that we see it as like a negative thing. I was watching this interview and they're saying like having multiple wives doesn't jive with like the European view of conduct, but like in many cultures and historical places around the world, it's like that was totally normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not to say like what he did was like a good or bad thing, but it's like you can see that there are like flaws behind like what we initially see.
Yeah.
You know, we're watching like another funny thing is like they're saying like the way they choose their stories is like if it would outrage your mother or like freak out your father or something like that. And like, remember I told you I went to New York and I was at the Fox News building and it said like, beware Mexican werewolves. And I was like, is this a joke? Like, what's going on? Like, are they trolling right now? And it was like, no, they look for like things that are so ridiculous to keep your attention, because it's all about attention, like selling ads and stuff, right? So yeah,
But
So
selling ads, yeah, like when something like this happened, I think it was like to Bill O'Reilly or one of those other
oh
people
yeah, he was caught
that
for sexual
yeah,
misconduct as well.
but once that happens, you end up losing all your advertisers too.
Right, totally,
So
yeah, yeah. But I mean, like, as long as we can keep the boat rocking, it's all good, kind of thing.
yeah,
Which is like sad, but it's surprising that that's how this works. Because like, like when you're a kid, you're like, I want to be an actor and stuff like. Well, I never wanted that, but like you hear that
mm-hmm.
all the time. Like people are like, I want to be an actor, I want to be famous, right? And it's like you don't really know what the price of fame is.
Right, yeah,
Like a lot of things when you get behind it, it's not as glamorous as it seems.
mm-hmm.
You know, and almost like it makes you feel like humans are very bumbling in that way. We're like very confused and like we call this structure, but we don't. It's not really structure. It's just like stuff that's been built up over time.
Right,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like if you look historically into how things were made, it's like you'll see that one thing led to another. It wasn't like a grand design. It was
yeah,
like a happenstance.
mm-hmm.
So another thing that I found pretty interesting is I was watching this other interview with Nick Cannon, and he was talking about actors' pays.
Yeah,
And he's like, you see like a lot of actors in like TV and stuff, and you're like, oh, they're like they must be balling out because like they're actors on TV. They have like a series, right? But like in between the shows, like some of them would get like jobs at like the grocery store.
yeah. I mean, was he talking about like big roles or like your lead roles or
All of
people
that. We just perceive that if you're on TV, you must be like rich and famous.
Oh yeah, not
Like
necessarily.
you must know everyone in Hollywood, et cetera, et
Oh
cetera.
no,
Like
no.
no, but that's like
Right,
the
right.
perception, right?
I
You're like,
guess.
oh, you've broken into that industry, but it's like you don't know if you're gonna have to like wait tables or something in between your
Mm-hmm.
big break.
Right, yeah,
You know?
yeah. That's true. I mean, yeah, with TV, it's very difficult. Like even when you get a gig, it's like it's not. These don't last long,
Yeah,
and
and
it's
you were
not as
saying
much
like
money.
pilots. There's like so many pilots that
Yeah,
get
so there's
filmed.
like exactly there's a lot of pilots made, but a lot of pilots don't go fully through to a season. So, and that's also up to studios, like if it's a good show or not. And you can see that too. And there's not a lot of good shows that come out throughout the year, right?
Right? Yeah,
So it's
totally.
like there's many that are done, but many that are canceled, and many
Yeah,
that don't even ever get made into a full season. So a lot of those actors end up, not having anything for another until they find another gig, I guess.
it's sort of like the people in the Twilight series, right? The
Mm-hmm.
Twilight series was so big, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, like it ended, and it's like you don't really see these actors doing anything anymore. Like obviously, like the two main stars, like Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart,
Yeah.
they're still doing stuff. They're like trying to do stuff, but like one of them was Ashley Greene,
Mm-hmm.
and she was in this movie Bombshell, but like. And then she was at a red carpet interview, and she was saying like, "Yeah, it's important for us to like make this movie, blah blah, blah like open awareness." And then like I was like, okay, she's gonna have a role. She didn't have a single speaking part. They like showed her. I think like maybe she said like one word. She had
Mm-hmm.
like one scene, and it was like, oh,
So that's
that was
another
your
thing.
whole role.
So no, but sometimes what happens also in movies is you might have a full scene, but it might just be cut if it doesn't fit.
Oh, I see, I see.
So that also happens. So sometimes
It's a
there's
little awkward though, because it's like you did a full interview. Like right before the
yeah,
movie, she
yeah,
did. I saw like the interview thing because they were playing like
yeah,
like red carpet stuff
yeah.
like prior to the movie, and then like she had like no real role, but
Right.
it seemed like she was gonna have a big role in it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird. Like we we're we're quickly amazed and we quickly forget.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Twilight came out, everyone's like so amazed, like, oh wow, like these actors are amazing. You know, they must make lots of money, and then like we quickly forget about them, and then if they don't save their money correctly,
Yeah,
dries up.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty sure like for me, I at least hope that like they had like they're smart and they have like trusts and stuff and like
Mm-hmm.
like mutual funds or something like to put their money into.
Mm-hmm.
But like you hear a lot about like Mike Tyson, he blew all his money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Right.
like as quickly as it comes, as quickly as it goes. nobody's like exempt from like failure, not failure, but like being tossed aside like trash, you know. But we don't think about these things, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, which actually makes me think of like comedians. So like I saw a comic show yesterday, and like it's pretty funny because like during the whole set they were saying how like these people, like comics, don't make any money.
Yeah.
Like they make maybe like if they're lucky like $1,000 a year doing their sets.
Right.
And like again, you're in front of all of us entertaining us, but you don't have an adequate means for living.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Like, you know?
That bit makes sense. Again, these sort of things are generally, I think, designed to be very difficult at first, or maybe forever for that person. Like in the sense that, in order to be really, really good, you really gotta like
grind.
Yeah.
But see, we're looking at like the few and the far between. We're looking at the Kevin Harts, the like Joe Rogans,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. These
and
are
we're
the ones
like,
who's made it, yeah.
But like of that one, how many like thousands have not made it?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And that's the thing that we tend to forget. That it's not easy to get into these sort of things. And it's a lot of work to get into these sort of things.
And like what did you have to sacrifice? Not just like time, but like just like the Bombshell movie, like what did you have to do to get that role? You know? Like we don't know.
Yeah. And we tend to forget that because we only see the people that are successful.
Totally. And even the ones that are perceived to be successful, like the headliner, right? Oh, you're headlining the show. He's an Uber driver.
Right.
He's like, oh, I also drive Uber. And I was like, is this a joke? But I'm like, I don't think it's a joke. Like, I think you're actually being serious right now. You know, he said he has like a billboard at Yonge and Eglinton.
Okay.
And like, he was a Just for Laughs like headliner as well. So it's like, okay, you must make some money, but let's like, you're driving Uber still.
Yeah.
Because like you
really need like a constant thing. Because these are very, like each show is what you're getting paid, but you got to do it constantly. And
it's like a one-off. Like if you take a vacation, that's no money.
Yeah.
You know, like streamers, right? We were talking about that other one where like, streamers can make like a lot of money, but like you can't take a vacation.
Yeah.
Because you'll see a dip in your subscriber count. Like people will forget about you. But it's true though. Like I even seen it myself, you know, like Ghost Robo. Remember that guy? Like, I don't know what he's doing now. But like I was a huge fan, right? I would like watch all his episodes, et cetera, but like you just kind of get bored, you move on, and it's like if your only source of income is that one thing, it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing with what streamers do. They don't just do it only for that. If they're big enough, they can get sponsors,
right? And
that's also where they're getting paid, right?
Totally.
But yeah, it is generally not a good. If you are like one of the successful ones, then it's fine. But like if you're doing this every day, but you're not getting like a constant
pool of money,
it's very difficult. If you can't get sponsors and stuff, it's going to be difficult to go ahead with this sort of things.
It almost seems
unless you're doing it for a hobby, like you have another job and you're
totally,
doing it
totally. Just Blaze, he was like this producer, as a musician, and he said like he didn't quit his day job. He was making like $6,000 to $7,000 per track that he'd like sell to someone, but he still had a full-time job, right? Because he's like, I don't want to be one of those people that like come and go, you know. And then like if this goes away, like selling beats, like what am I gonna do, right? And like he said the only reason why he quit is because his boss forced him to quit. He's like, why are you still here? And he's like, oh, because you know I need money for like rent, like this is not stable, etc., etc. And then like the boss was like, the time you spent here is taking away from the time you'd be creating. Why don't you just try that? You know? So he's like, all right, fine, I'll quit. Right. But like, you need to move like smart. Like we have these idealisms, you know, of like what it could be like and how it would work. But then the reality situation hits you and you're like, oh, I need to be pragmatic. You know, from like a personal perspective too, it's like, I thought, you know, teaching yoga and martial arts was going to be like the way, and you realize like you really make no money unless you hustle, and the only people that really make the money are the studio owners, right? Because like they're just paying you like an hourly rate, but like how much are those memberships, you know? Right. And at the same time, like those studio owners, like how many memberships do you have? Is that enough to offset your rent costs? Like everything's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
You know, like when you really understand how these things work, it's like you could see the Wizard of Oz playing out, you know? It's like
Right.
we like from the outward, like I remember when I was teaching martial arts, everyone was like, "Oh man, you're living the life. You're a martial artist, you know, you get to like wake up and do martial arts, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Dude, you're making like 7 times more than me per month."
Right.
You know, like
Yeah, yeah,
but you don't know it. You just think
Mhm.
my life is sick, you know. It's behind the veil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which actually so one of my previous goals was like, oh man, I want to like train somebody to go to UFC,
Yeah.
right? Like, remember we were talking about that before,
Yeah,
and then we
yeah,
went
yeah.
to go watch a UFC match, and it was like, dude, this is like actual cockfighting. Like, there's no glamour at the show. Only on TV it looks glamorous,
Mhm.
but then like when you're actually at the show, it's like it's silent,
Mhm.
and then you just have a bunch of like fans that are shouting stuff that like has nothing to do with the fight.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh, beat him up. You're like, well, that's not good advice. You know, like obviously you want to beat him up. You know, like
Yeah.
the fans don't even know they're just out there to see blood.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's like the oldest thing in the book though, right?
Yeah, totally. It's like gladiators.
Yeah.
But then you wonder, it's like, who's making all the money?
Mhm.
Because if like somebody's making money,
Mhm.
you know, but it's obviously not the fighters. And then reading like the books of like fighters, they actually make no money. Like Conor McGregor's book I read, GSP's book I read, and like you need sponsorships, and only the top, the cream of the crop make the money.
Yeah. But before it was different, right? Isn't that?
Before, nobody made money.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, nobody made money.
But it was a bit more because nobody, almost everyone was a nobody.
Oh, what do you? Oh, okay.
Generally.
Oh, well, they made like $3,000 a year.
Oh, that's not
Yeah, like,
anything.
yeah, because they would fight like once, maybe twice a year, so you're making
Right.
6,000. Like,
I don't know. I think that's looking at the ROI of that. It's like, you work out so many hours. That's all
totally
you get out of a
Firas Zahabi said this in the interview. He,
fight.
like the reason why he went to become like a gym owner instead of a fighter is because like he was training this guy, and like he trained so hard. This guy spent like so much money, and like he won the fight, but he chipped his tooth, right? So like he won $3,000 for the fight, but the dentist bill was like 4,000. So he's like, we won this, but we're in the hole.
right.
So what's the point?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm.
I guess like they really gotta love fighting.
Yeah, if that's something, yeah, I think so. I think there has to be some of that kind of level. There has to be there.
But see, that's the story they tell you, right? It's like you gotta love fighting. But for me, what I think it really is like you can't do anything else but fight. You know what I mean? Like people are like, oh man, I got no other option. Like if you actually listen to what these fighters are saying, like if you listen to their interviews, like they don't have any other means to get a job
Right.
outside of fighting. So of course they're gonna tell you like my whole life is fighting, because it's like, yeah, you have like neck tattoos, bro. Like you have no degree. Like what are you gonna do?
Right.
You know?
Hmm.
Right? Like
Yeah, that's true. Then what else do you have?
the gym owner's making money because he's charging you a membership.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's like it's not the fighter but the gym owner. But we glamorize like the fighter, and then the fighter has to like spend their money if they're in the UFC and they don't get paid that much, but they're like on the main card, you have to look cool, right? So I got to buy a new suit.
Right.
But then how am I going to pay for that suit? You know? Sure, sponsorship deals, but it's like how many fighters are there? You know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like an illusion.
Yeah. Because I mean, you can, but you do tell like generally like when they do those ads for the UFC, you're only looking at the main.
The main people.
Main people.
And then like especially the prelims, you're like, dude, like you're definitely making nothing as a prelim fighter. But like as a prelim fighter, you're hoping to get onto the main card.
Right.
But then the main card, that's when you make like $1,500 a fight. You know, but like you spent the whole year training for this. You know, pro nutrition, classes, rent, groceries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like think about all those things that you're spending in a year, and it's like, is it worth it? You know, Demetrius Johnson, like arguably the greatest of all time. He just moved from UFC to ONE FC because he's like, I want to get a belt and everything. but like every division. But like in his interview with Joe Rogan, he was working in a factory while he was fighting for the belt because he's like, I can't support anything.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? It's kind of sad, but like commendable because I think it's the American dream. You know, we're all like we can make it one day.
Or it's that illusion of this idea.
That's what I'm saying. It's like we're being sold.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And I feel like the veil is the marketing, right? It's like the veil of like vanity. Like you could be this, you know, how it's being sold to you, portrayed.
Right.
You know. Another interesting thing that I found cool as well, I was listening to Drake's Rap Radar. And like what I think is really cool is
what's that
like,
Rap Radar?
It's like a interview show on Tidal.
Okay.
Jay-Z's like music industry like thing platform. Yeah, but so I think it's cool. Like, well, one, he lives like one exit off of us, and like I'm like that's kind of cool because you're like, he was talking in the interview about like Young and Eglinton. Like he was like, oh, I used to take people to like girls to like Young and Eglinton, and I eat at the Pickle Barrel, then I drive around the bridle path and be like, I'm gonna live here one day, and like he was naming all these streets. I'm like, dude, I know all these places. Like I'm working at it, dude. Like it's sick,
right?
You know, and like it was humanizing, you know. And then like it made me want to listen more to his interview, and like he was being very honest and human in it. And what he was saying is like, you know, what we see in the rap industry is not real. Like for example, like he was a big fan of Pusha T because he's like, oh man, Pusha T's selling all this cocaine out here, blah blah blah. And then he said like when he actually met Pusha T and like learned more about him, he's like, oh, this is an illusion. He's like, you're seeing the magic trick that's going on, and it like kind of disappointed him, you know. But it's like, but that's how it is, you know. Like we're sold this vision again,
right,
of like things being awesome, and like they're not really. You know, and it must be so isolating. Like, imagine having all that money, but like you can't go outside because you're so famous. You know what I mean? Like his house that he built for himself.
Yeah,
is like he was saying like, oh, I live in this house that's like so grand, and like I have my studio here. I have a personal chef, but it's like it sounds more like you're a prisoner of your own, like rich.
Yeah, success. Or
you're a prisoner of your own success because like you made all this money and you built this amazing like place, but you can't leave it.
That's generally like the complaint that a lot of them have, like that they just can't walk around like normal folks anymore. And
totally, but they are normal folks. That's the thing. We look at them like godly.
Yeah.
Like Dave Chappelle, he left to go to South Africa, and like, why do you choose South Africa? He's like, nobody knows who I am there. It's like I could be a normal person again.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, yeah, that's what it is when they go to these different countries. They do like that aspect of not being noticed.
Yeah, that's what they all crave, right? It's like, like
they missed the one thing that was when you're just a normal person.
Yeah, totally. So it's so funny because like this is like the whole Zen parable of like you go searching in your life for something only to realize like what you were searching for was you the whole time.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you go on search, it's like it was here the whole time. That's what I really wanted. And like I was listening to this Andre 3000 and Rick Rubin interview.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how like they worked so hard because they had a hole to fill, right? They're like, if I just become rich and famous, I'll fill this hole. And then like they're saying how they got their call from these managers, and it's like, you have the #1 record in like the world right now. How do you feel? And they're like, I feel the same. Like nothing happened, right? And it's like that's the illusion again. We get deluded into thinking that there's something that could fix us outside of ourselves.
Right.
You know, I read this really good book once. It's called Wherever You Go, There You Are. And like basically it's like about people who like try and escape their problems by going somewhere else,
right? Only
to realize that like their problems haven't left them; they're still with them. You know, because the hole you're trying to fill is an innate hole,
right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's weird. Yeah, and then I just saw another interview with like this other guy who's saying like, how come rappers like they have the money phone?
Money phone?
So like they they have like stacks of cash and they pretend like it's an old brick phone.
Oh.
You know those pictures, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, the real rich people, you'll never see a photo like that.
Yeah, no.
Because it's only the rappers that are trying to like prove something to you, like, look how much money I have. And they were going through like people's net worths and was like, okay, Floyd Mayweather makes like $200 million. But then like the guy who owns this shoe company online, his net worth is like
Billions?
no, 800 million. And he only owns 4 pairs of shoes.
Mm.
Because he's like, well, why do I need more than that?
Yeah.
You know? But it's like, then you get like Floyd Mayweather being like, look at my closet filled with shoes. And it's like, dude, you gonna wear all those? You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
That point is no, generally no, you don't.
No, you don't. It's the...
You'll stick to the couple that are the most comfortable. That's what you would wear every day.
Right? And it's the presentation. It's like, let me just make you believe I'm something I'm not.
Yeah.
Because I have a hole that tells me I'm not worthy. So if I make you think I'm worthy, then at least one of us is satisfied.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because I'm not satisfied. Yeah. Maybe that's the biggest veil of all, to realize, like, you know, that you're the source of your own pain and suffering. You know?
Yeah, I guess so. Bring it on our own selves.
Because you could see, like, you go to, like, not as rich countries, and then, like, you're like, they're so much happier than we are. Because they're content with what they have, whereas we're always striving for something more.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. I mean, they sell it to us in a way, right?
Totally,
we
yeah.
just keep thinking that that's what we all want.
Yeah.
And we fall for that, and then we don't realize the consequences of that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, speaking of consequences, it's funny with the video game industry, with like their crunch time, or like what do you call it?
Yeah, crunch time.
Oh, crunch time. So they're all like, certain companies are always in crunch time. So like crunch time is basically like where you work like 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to meet a deadline.
Yeah, or like all day. You just sleep there.
Yeah, that's another one. Like, I always wanted to work in the video game industry, and then like Hassan Minaj played that, like, he had that episode about the video games, and I was like, oh, that would actually suck.
Yeah, that's why I think that's what I kept telling you. I was like, I don't think I'd want to work in the industry. I like what they're doing.
I know, right? It's crazy.
I'm not gonna work the way that they're working.
See, even on that baser level of like, okay, let's just look at something like as innocuous as video games or like entertainment. You know, like, we don't know what it's like. I guess the primary takeaway is you'll never know what it's like until you go do it. But don't be surprised if it's not what you wanted the whole time.
Well, it's like this. So like with the video game industry, it's somewhat like a new kind of thing. It's like all the other industries, when they were new, they also faced the same problem.
Okay, yeah, no regulation.
Yeah, and then now we've got regulations. Now we have weekends. Now we have like these sort of things that weren't ever there before, and so maybe eventually that'll happen to video games too. I think it's gonna be inevitable to happen.
Yeah, totally.
To go that way. Yeah. You
know, I feel like the only way to achieve like freedom, nothing's really free, but like the closest thing to freedom is to like start it yourself. Because like, if you go on this search and you're like, okay, I want this, right? And then you go get it and you realize it's not what it's cut out to be. You should just start it for yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like let's just do the martial arts example. So it's like, oh, I want to like, you know, be a martial artist and like teach these people. And then you realize like martial arts instructors get paid like jack. Like, they get nothing, right? As compared to the studio owners.
Right.
So it's like, why don't you just open up your own studio and then pay correctly? You know, or pay like an amount that people can live off of.
Right.
You know? But then I think if you're in that position, you'll be faced with like, oh, I can't make ends meet if I actually pay fairly. Because it's probably really hard to run a studio.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, again, you have to depend. Yeah, it depends, right? Like how successful they do end up becoming or not, right?
Sure, yeah.
How many
And even when you become successful, like, how much do you have to water it down to become successful?
Yeah.
Right? They talk about that, like, for us, hobbyist talking about that. We're like, like karate used to be really lethal,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then now anyone can get a karate black belt. You just got to be there for like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's even black belt programs where it's like, we'll put you on this program and in 3 years you will get a black belt because we will spoon feed everything to you. You just got to pay into it,
Right.
you know? So it's like even if you try and solve that problem, it's almost like nothing's solvable, you know, from that perspective. Because it's like, okay, I'm getting paid jack as an instructor. Let me open my own studio. Oh, wait, I actually need to pay instructors less because I can't make ends meet. Okay, or we could just offset it by giving crappier programs,
Yeah.
you know, and then it's like, well, then something's got to give,
Mm-hmm.
you know. It's almost like our society, how it's like built off of oil, and it's like we're destined for like destruction,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we do things, but we don't think proactively in advance enough. We just think enough to be like, okay, this will fix it for the time being, or at least while I'm in office.
Right.
You know, people do that. Like, it's like, okay, well, it's not my problem because I'm only going to be at this job for 5 years and then I'll move on. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but that's how we got into this mess. Nobody's forward thinking. Nobody's trying to build like longevity. Everyone's trying to get like a quick fix.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's greed. Greed is the reason why
I was
we
about
have
to say, yeah. I think greed is that thing.
why we have the veil.
Yeah.
You know. But we're all greedy. So like the thing is that people are like, people should just be less greedy, but it's like we're all greedy though.
Yeah, it's hard.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
if
Like you could have like maybe a one or two, like there will be people that are not like that, but it's gonna be difficult to prove that, like to make sense to a whole lot. Like there's gonna be always someone that's gonna be greedy, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
it's like that DMX thing where he's like, why would you want to be happy all the time? Happy people just get taken advantage of. You're
Yeah.
happy all the time.
yeah,
You know, like, oh, he stole my money. Oh, positivity though, it's okay. But it's like, no, you should be angry.
yeah,
He stole your money.
yeah. I don't know what else. Like that's yeah. I don't know.
Like the true. This is why I like what Buddha said. Like Buddha's very. Actually, I don't even know if he said this. This is just probably marketing again.
Yeah.
But allegedly he said this. It's like, if you believe something will give you happiness, go and do that. If it does, keep doing that. It's great. Good for you. But if it doesn't, then you need to reassess and then like move in a different manner.
Yeah, but it also
Yeah.
depends, like it on the current state of the world in a sense, like what
Yeah,
kind of
totally.
jobs are available. Is it not?
Totally. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like maybe. So it's like in the book Outliers, it's like all these successful people that you see, they're just in the right place at the right time with the right skills.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the lesson is work hard so that when your opportunity does come, you can take it.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to be okay with the fact that the opportunity might not come.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There and every like famous rich person always says like there is, if you ask me how I got here, is like there is no path. It's
Yeah.
like make it yourself.
Yeah.
You know. That's probably the biggest illusion of, actually no, like this is like on a superficial level, this is the biggest illusion. It's like you think there's a path, but there's no path. You know? The
Yeah.
ones that everyone has walked. Well, that's why we're in mediocre positions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if you really want greatness, you have to like claim your own stake by moving.
But there's it's a lot more. It's a lot more difficult because there's no single path, right?
right.
So you don't know what would work for you in some sense. Like it'll take. There will be a lot of hardships on the way.
For sure. Totally. I agree.
Yeah.
And it's like going back to Bombshell. It's like, okay, you want to be famous? You got to do this.
Mhm.
Right? You know what I mean? It's like, but them choosing to do it, it's like, is this the tax we just pay?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like sexual harassment's terrible. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Bikram thing.
Yeah.
That's terrible. He like raped those girls.
Mm-hmm.
That's not cool. But if you're given the choice, like the head of the Fox News guy, it's like just, I mean, like, okay, that's so negative because everyone's like, oh, if you just say no, it's like you're undermining the girl. I'm sure she was in a position that she couldn't say no to, whatever. I'm not her. Who knows? But like, there are certain situations where it's like, if you want this, you have to pay this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it might not be monetary. It might be in like favors.
Yeah.
Are you willing to do that? So it's like, even that's a reality of the situation. It's like, are you willing to go all the way for what you want? And a lot of people say, I am, but it's like, are you really? You know, and will you like who you've become by the end of it?
Right.
You know, like that's a big one.
It's like that. It just reminded me of like those lines I think we used to play as a kid. Like, what would you do for $1 million? Like,
oh, true. Yeah.
would you do that? Would you do this? I remember.
Oh, forgot about that. Yeah, that is a thing that
It's
kids
basically
do.
what it is.
That is basically what it is. Yeah.
Would you do this for?
We're all still just kids, man. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, we bring up the most obscure things, and then like, would you do that? Would you?
Yeah, it's like, how bad do you want it? Okay, cut off your arm.
Right.
You know, like, would you do it?
Yeah.
And it's like,
So that's kind of like, I guess, where you build your integrity or not.
totally. Yeah, I agree. It's like you have to know what you want and don't want from this world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good place to put it. Yeah, you got to know what you want and don't want out of this world, because then you can like navigate more freely.
Yeah.
You know, like no, not freely, because I don't believe in freedom.
No, like in
With
some
authority.
Yeah, with your own authority, like no sense of like what's the word? Like having that integrity and not being
They call it virtues.
yeah.
So like, but so in like martial arts, the Bushido.
Mhm.
So it's like you have to know what you stand for.
Right.
You know, and like one of them is like virtues, and like the virtue is like what you can and cannot tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, yeah, that's not authority. Like here's my perspective on freedom and sovereignty. I was like talking to Tara about this yesterday, and I was like, this is so true. If you people are like, I'm free, I'm sovereign, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, you say that as you pay taxes though.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what freedom are you talking about, bro?
Right.
You know, freedom isn't free. Authority is though. You could like have your own authority. You're like, I'm actively choosing to do this.
Freedom isn't free.
It's not though, right? Like, what's that mean?
No, maybe, but it's funny because the word free and freedom.
Yeah, it's an illusion.
Yeah.
It's another word for it is like fidelity, which is like choice. Like you can choose. Like it's like, okay, you don't technically have to pay taxes, but you pay them because you live in this country.
Yeah.
But you're not free. I'm not saying you're not free. You don't have freedom, but you have fidelity, where it's like you have choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even on that level, I don't even believe in choice. So it's like things are just playing out. I'm just like, we're going on the very superficial level. Like we're not going high level, because at the end of the day, I believe that everything's already predetermined. But like on the illusion level, yes, you have like some semblance of choice. That's like, I can choose not to pay these taxes.
Right.
I can choose not to do that favor in order to get on TV.
Right. I mean, there are consequences.
But there are consequences.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we'll put you in jail if you don't pay taxes. Okay, you won't be on TV if you don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to live with those consequences?
Right.
Or are you willing to live with who you'll become if you decide to do those things?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how best to live your life, Ish?
Best. I don't know, man. Just do whatever. It doesn't matter at the end, anyways.
That's true. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we'll all be dead.
That's kind of harsh, but yeah.
You know, that's where you're going with that one.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate Zen reel right there. It's like, yeah, like pierce through the veils of illusion. In yogic texts, they call them mayas, right? Like the illusion of something, right?
Right.
And like, yeah, at the end of the day, you're gonna die. So it's like, do it, don't do it.
Like
whatever.
if you look at it, if I look at it like as a,
it'll always be an experience.
Yeah, yeah, that's just how I view it. And then in the long term, it's like in universe time, it's like it doesn't matter.
Totally, yeah. And I feel like being poor, like when people are like, I've heard this before and I agree with it. Like being poor is a mindset.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously on a BS like level, it's like, no, you can't ball out. But it's just like, just don't think of yourself as poor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, okay, I can only afford this right now. You know?
Yeah.
Like if you just told yourself, I have $1 million in the bank, but if I spend over this amount, I won't be a millionaire anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
it's like a concept. Like this idea of like being rich is a concept.
Yes, like
Remember,
metaphorically.
what,
Yeah.
what was that thing we said before? It's like money doesn't buy happiness, money affords happiness.
Yeah.
It's like
Choices.
yeah, choice. It allows you to like do things, right? But like,
That's what Dave Chappelle said.
what, money affords happiness?
Yeah, it's like you can choose to put them in private school, like having, better education or something like that. Like that's what
Yeah, just
money
opportunities.
brings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what money brings you. But like, there's no difference in like what he was mainly saying was like there's no difference in like
But like, let's say you
50
have
million or 100 million.
let's say you make $10,000 a year and you need food stamps and like you got to pay for all this stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, just imagine you have $1,010,000 in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you dip below this $10,000, you won't be a millionaire anymore.
Right.
So that alleviates your idea of being poor. It's like, no, I'm not poor. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't want to break my millionaire streak.
Yeah.
But these are just lies we tell ourselves, obviously. Just like the lies of like, if I'm rich and famous, all my sorrows will go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You ever hear that thing where it's like, if you make $75,000 a year, like it's the key number for happiness?
That's a household income. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a
Explain this to me.
household
I thought it was a personal. I've been shooting for 75 myself because it's like, okay, that's
No, as a
apparently
household-
everyone's gonna be happy. So let's do it.
As a household income. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think they say that as household income. Meaning
Okay,
two people.
cool. Because like with what I have right now, I'm like, do I really need 75? Like, I don't get it. Like, what do people want with this? Like, what can you just
No,
do?
it's as a combined.
Oh, okay.
income.
That makes way more sense to me now. Okay, cool. 'Cause I was
Whenever
like,
they
if we
use-
both make
whenever they-
75,
yeah, whenever
we're
they-
like,
yeah,
we're
when-
balling out too hard right now.
Whenever they use the word household, it means two people.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
Which means like you'll generally live a pretty good life and yeah.
so two people with $35,000 per year,
Mm-hmm.
that's like 70,000.
Yeah, you could do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird world we're living in. Yeah, I don't know. So moral of the story, don't go and try and be rich and famous. Because when you get there, you might not want to have been there
Or liked who you've become.
or like who you've become. Because you might have done some craziness.
Yeah.
And it also sounds like a weird world. Like all the people that talk about like the rich world, like the Bryan Singer with like the little boys in the pool, like they made the water red. Was it Bryan Singer? I don't want to throw you under the bus. Like
I don't know what they're talking about.
I was listening to like the pedophilia that goes on and like
I don't know this red pool thing. What?
there's like this picture of like the guy who did X-Men. The first is Bryan Singer, right?
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
It's Bryan Singer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Google it. It's
I
not me.
forgot who he was.
Just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
So like he has this picture of like him and a bunch of like young looking boys and they're all swimming in a pool. He made the pool like red. They showed it on Joe Rogan and I was like, it's a little weird.
Oh.
But this is the way we get into, or like Bill Cosby being a rapist, allegedly a rapist. And this is the world we're riding in,
Yeah.
DMX was talking about how he has a cocaine problem. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, would you even want those friends to be around you? It's like at the end of the day, it's like we're all rich and famous, but we're doing craziness right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It seems like it's all for my entertainment though. I enjoy it.
What'd you say? What?
It seems like it's all for my entertainment. Like I just find it funny.
As a consumer, yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah. But I mean, like, isn't that all what we're all doing at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Like, that's like the epitome of every realization. Like, I know I've said this before, but you brought me to that. Like, if you have nihilism, the ultimate thing you could do is entertain yourself. Because at the end of the day, nihilistic people realize that nothing matters. So it's like, if nothing matters, let me just entertain myself. This is going to play itself out.
Right.
I'm really jiving with that, like, Instagram description I have of, like, entertaining myself in the interim between worlds. Because it's like, we're going to die and then live again, in some other form. So while I'm here, it's like, while we're all here, might as well just derive some enjoyment. But maybe that's what those people were thinking too, with like the red pool and the, I'm just trying to have some fun. With my young looking boys in a red pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's like.
Well, as a society, we've accepted it as wrong.
Right. That's the insanity part to me. It's like if you actually read history, like they've done crazier stuff.
Yeah.
But we forget because nobody reads anymore. So or nobody like wants to learn about history. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
When are we gonna watch the 1974?
No, it's 1917. That was
okay.
like many years ago.
See how bad I am with these like guesses? Like, okay, 1917.
1974.
These like movie names are too difficult for me.
It's, I guess, yeah. Well, if you haven't really looked into it like I did, so I guess it's understandable.
I know Star Wars Episode 9.
Okay.
No, just kidding. So, so that's coming out next week? January 10th, you said?
I think so. Sometime, yeah.
Cool.
Soon.
So if it comes out, we'll check that out. It should be sick because it's a one-take movie. Oh, it's not one take. It's impossible to make one take. It's a one shot.
Yeah, single shot, yeah.
Yeah, there's no cuts apparently.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how that works.
But really what that means, so there's the behind the veil. That just means they're gonna do like a sweeping motion and it's just gonna cut to another scene. You just won't see the cut. You know what I mean? Because like you can't not cut something. You're just gonna like merge two scenes together. That's it.
Well, yeah, I just want to see how they did it. Because we played a game that had no cuts, right?
God of War.
That had single, yeah.
God of War.
Yeah. I don't want to say no cuts. They do make they do take. I think there was like one time they did, but there was not a cut. It was like using that transition method as a cut.
Right. That's what I mean. You just hide the cuts.
Yeah.
So is it really a no cut thing? You know what I mean? It's like a hidden.
No, that's what I want to see, like how it's like an art piece in a way, right? Just I want to see how it's done because it's in a normal movie you would see like a lot of cuts, like your face, this person you're talking, and cut to this person.
Oh,
talking.
right, yeah.
You're not seeing anything like that, so it's a lot of it is done on single shot, in a sense. Like
I feel like single shot's like a misnomer. It's like
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like hidden transition.
Because they can't even film
cool
like because when they film it certain scenes, I mean, you can't stop from it going from day and night, so you have to like start again the next day.
Totally. Yeah.
And like what I was reading into, like what would happen, like if the sun came out, it's too bright, so they had to wait until it's cloudy again, and then right away start up the scene.
Let's call it seamless sequencing.
Sure. Yeah.
And that'd be amazing if that took off. So here's it. Like we should call it seamless sequencing.
Yeah. I don't think that's catchy.
No.
But single shot is more catchy.
Single shot. It's gonna mislead you into thinking rich people are happy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Same thing.
It's just words. If you really looked into it, then you'll know more about it.
But what I'm saying is nobody looks into things anymore.
Yeah, that's their issue.
Yeah. All right. So, till next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. 2020 is here. Oh wait, we didn't even talk about this. World War III.
Oh yeah.
Allegedly. So
not allegedly. I mean, it's not. It's just the thinking or the idea of having a World War III. But like, I don't know that.
Teared out this pop-up that said like Twitter is convinced that World War III is going to happen.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's
well,
weird.
that makes sense. I mean, people think, right?
Yeah, totally. But see, there you go. Behind the veil, man. It's like, who's really saying that?
Yeah. It's the people.
Yeah. It's like, no. But you know what's funny? It's like, we don't get the full story. Remember when I saw like, oh, Trump okayed a bombing and they killed this dude. Oh, he's like, and then you were like, actually, they've been going back and forth for quite some time. This is not. Yeah. This is completely expected. Blah blah blah. It's like, oh,
well, not in the sense of expected, but it's like there's been trouble already going on between these two countries.
So like the fact that it happened was like, okay, I could see it. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't like, see, from my perspective, I just woke up to my Instagram feed and was like, oh my God, this came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. But you're like, no, it's been being set up for a while.
If you paid attention, like if you really got to understand like what's going on, then it would be like, yeah, I can see this escalating.
How it would have played out. Yeah, totally. It's like it's a logical progression.
Yeah.
But see, that's the whole Zen real philosophy of like, look into it, bro. You know, like you got to see why things are the way it is. You know,
right.
don't just take it at face value. You know, yeah. And I just saw an asteroid is like coming close to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it too?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I was like, okay.
Yeah, 2020.
Oh, nice.
We ain't playing around in this decade.
I mean, we've had asteroid one, I think, last year too, or the year before. So.
But you know what's funny? Like, if you look at like 2000 was the end of the world. 2012 was the end of the world.
Okay.
2020, we gotta repackage it, resell it. End of the world.
I haven't heard the end of the world for 2020 yet.
Oh, we got different feeds, man. We double tap on different things. We see different things.
Yeah, that's
how algorithms work. Look at that. You gotta look into it. It's algorithms. It's not really. It's like curated content. If all I look at is ponies, I'm gonna get more ponies. I think the world's made of ponies.
Mm-hmm.
But if you double tap negativity or conspiracies, that's all you're gonna get.
Right.
So we'll leave you with this: beware your double taps. Double tap this.
I don't really like anything anyway, so.
Okay.
I don't know. I just.
But even if you don't double tap, here's the craziest. Even if you don't double tap,
yeah. They're
gonna take the amount of time you spent observing a post.
Yeah.
So you don't even need to double tap. You just need to look at it.
Yeah.
Watch what you look at.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I only use Twitter, so.
And you know who also said watch what you look at? Buddha. The yamas and niyamas.
Oh, okay.
You gotta manage what you intake because it will affect your reality. Perennial wisdom. We've known this for quite some time.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. All right. Till next week. Take it easy.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.